Yesterday night was one of those nights that Indian cricket fans will remember for a long time. After weeks of intense cricket, tactical battles, surprises, and few moments where things looked slightly uncertain, India are finally T20 World Champions, but this victory did not come in a straight line. And we all could experience that, feel that. If you look at India's journey in this tournament, it was a story of experimentations, setbacks, tactical corrections, and eventually dominance. There were moments where team combination looked unsettled. There were matches where India were pushed into a corner. There were also moments of individual brilliance that completely changed the course of the tournament. And then, of course, there was yesterday's final where almost everything clicked perfectly for India. So today we are not just going to celebrate the win, we are going to retrace India's entire journey, starting from the pre-World Cup phase, the issues with team combinations, the wake-up calls during the tournament, the tactical adjustments that India made, and finally the perfect performance in the final. Hello everyone, my name is Chinmay and along with Sanlap, we welcome you to Deep Point, the place where we go beyond the scorecard to decode the stories, strategies, and narratives that shape the game. So, Sanlap, let's discuss about India's journey in this tournament, and let us start from the very beginning, even before the World Cup started. So, please take us through the whole journey briefly, and then we will get into the nitty gritties of all. And then we will talk about different phases and the significance of those phases for our campaign in this tournament.
Yeah. So, first point which is coming in my mind was 19th December 2025, the match against South Africa, the last bilateral match against South Africa that happened in Ahmedabad. So for after a long time, an opening combination that Indian management was trying hard to impose, Abhishek Sharma and Shubman Gill, with Shubman Gill being the vice captain of India. So which a decision that was made just before the Asia Cup started. India drifted from an opening combination that had given India the best results in all the bilateral series before that. Since the 2024 victory, India shifted from that opening combination, tried this Abhishek Sharma, Shubman Gill, the Punjabi duo, and that was not working because Shubman Gill was clearly seen, he was not ready for the T20 mentality that India was looking for since 2024. The daddy totals that India was, 240, 250, 270, somewhere India also reached 290s. All those big scores, they were not coming. So on that day, after a long time, India tried Abhishek Sharma and Sanju Samson once again. And Sanju scored a 38 of 22, if I am not very wrong.
Mm.
So 38 of 22 was his score. And on that day, we were pretty sure that, okay, now we have got our opening combination back for the World T20. After that, for the New Zealand tour and World T20, India squad gets announced. And massive decision by the Indian management. Kudos to Ajit Agarkar, kudos to RP Singh, kudos to Pragyan Ojha for making such a bold move, that is dropping Shubman Gill and bringing in Ishan Kishan. So we pretty much got sure that, okay, we are going to have a top three in Abhishek Sharma, Shubman Gill and Ishan Kishan. Ishan Kishan had a brilliant Syed Mushtaq Ali trophy. He almost single-handedly, took Jharkhand to the title. Now, in New Zealand series, everything got messed up once again. Abhishek Sharma performed as he does. He was excellent. Ishan Kishan came as the new boss in that number 3 position. Sanju Samson, all of a sudden, because of the pressure that Ishan Kishan and the competition that he was facing from Abhishek Sharma and Ishan Kishan, because of the pressure, he succumbed to the pressure and could not perform. And even yesterday, also, he mentioned that phase that I was shattered after that series. My dreams were absolutely over. From that, yesterday we got him as our player of the tournament. So this is a brilliant story that has been written. So that was the moment when India started to believe that, when Sanju could not perform, that India started to believe that we will have to start our World Cup campaign without Sanju, keeping in three lefties, starting with three lefties. Even in the warm-up matches, it was taken care of that Ishan, Abhishek, and Tilak. Ishan, Abhishek, and Tilak. And India started with that, and whatever happened after that is history. So yeah.
I would, and this is a fascinating story. When you were narrating the story, I was revisiting, and I was almost pinching myself that this is not some story from some dream I had, and it is really happened. And rarely we see such stories in cricket. Cricket generally surprises us with its interesting occurrences and events and stories that generally we see in cricket. But this is from top drawer, and this is something we did not anticipate. We obviously talked about this. We advocated heavily on how we can bring in Sanju in top three. But let's stay here in this story of top three, and how this has changed everything for Indian T20 setup, and how two players who were not certain in this team. One, Ishan Kishan, who was absolutely not certain. Second, Sanju, who was certain, but somehow Gill was taking his place, as you mentioned, and we were trying that strategy. But Sanju got the chance, but again faltered a bit in a series, and then we again came back to square one in a sense. We again started with Ishan and Abhishek, two lefties. Let's talk about this and discuss about this top three and this particular story in context of cricket in general, because we generally don't see anything like this. Generally, in tough tournaments, we want to have a very settled top three, but India somehow backed Sanju. Here, let's also talk about the role of Gigi and Surya in this, and the top management in this. Let's talk a bit in depth on this, so that, because this story deserves a bit more discussion, and then we will move to the other significant phases and events that were there throughout this tournament and before this tournament.
So when Gill was dropped, so that was a good news for Sanju. I'm very, very cautiously saying good news, because when Gill was dropped, it was very much certain that Sanju will open. But alongside
Yeah.
a bad news came to Sanju, that Ishan is back into the team. Okay. And
Mm,
another point of concern was Tilak was not in the team because of his
yeah.
injuries and everything.
Mm,
Now look at what was happening through Sanju's mind. Ishan came with a lot of form with him. He was, whatever he was touching was getting to gold within that time zone. Whatever Ishan has scored runs in Syed Mustaq Ali Trophy, then he comes to this bilateral series, and that bilateral series we all know how Ishan performed. So he had 100.
mm,
Other than that, he was going, he was hitting all the balls. Like I think even more
yeah.
than Abhishek Sharma, Ishan Kishan, I think, became the fear factor of all the teams, when all the teams were watching those India versus New Zealand matches, where India was chasing down 200 within 14 overs. India was chasing down 150 within 10 overs. All those things were happening, and and in that scene, so what was what was Sanju thinking? Sanju was not comfortable in the entire setup, because, in a bilateral series where the stakes are pretty low, and where it is more like how you are performing as an individual. So when you are playing bilateral series, your stakes as the team are pretty low. That entire series was a rehearsal, pre World Cup rehearsal. Now, in pre-World Cup rehearsal,
mm,
individual performance matters. So when individual performance matters, when that pressure is there that I, as an individual, need to perform, I need to, hit the balls, I need to show what I can do, and that pressure was going into Sanju, because other than that, there was no reason that Sanju could not perform in those 5 matches, all the 5 matches that he could not perform. Since that happened, so and India kind of, after Tilak got fit, India decided to go ahead with Abhishek and Ishan as the opening combination. Everyone was expecting that Abhishek and Ishan, this opening combination, will create havoc in the entire. What happened after that was, nobody expected. First and foremost, one of the primary components of that entire top three, he all of a sudden fell ill, and he could not, perform the way he was able to do. Played one match in the group stage. He was, and I think this is the nth time I am repeating this. He was pretty good in that match. That 8 ball 22. A lot of people will
mm,
think that 8 ball 22 is not a performance, but that
mm,
8 ball 22, he showed that he is in perfect shape of scoring runs, because he did not score any 8 ball 22 in that bilateral series. Now all of a sudden, when the
mm,
national stakes are high, when you know that your individual performance is not a matter anymore. So Sanju Samson, he became the India's Sanju Samson from that day. So what if
mm,
I am getting a chance? I have nothing to lose. So I know that I am not the first choice as the opener right now. Maybe tomorrow, once Avish gets fit, I will be dropped once again. But this is the time where my individual stakes have gone low and the national stakes have gone high. So whatever I will have to perform, it will come for India. And right after that, whenever
that,
he has got a chance,
yeah.
he has played for India. He
Mm,
has not played for any type of to show anyone that what he is capable of. He was just showing
mm.
what India is capable of. And
That takes a lot of courage and selflessness. Otherwise, and I can't imagine myself in that situation, and then not thinking about my own place in the team. You are going beyond that and thinking about the team, and Surya also mentioned a lot of anecdotes about he always talked about the team, how can he contribute to the team, and that's for show in all the innings that he played. He could have easily scored 2 centuries, 3 centuries, and
three, three.
won at least 150. He could have easily scored 150 in one of those matches.
Mm.
Again, 130, 140 in another match, and obviously the 97 he was not out. He could have easily reached 100, but he played very
Had he
responsibly,
played
and
had he
yeah,
stayed for the 20 overs against both England and New
yeah,
Zealand, he would have
yeah,
broken Sahibzada Farhan's record also.
yeah,
So I think he finished at 323.
yeah.
Farhan has scored 383, only 60 run difference. So these 60 runs are
Mm,
nothing. The way he was playing, had he stayed for the
mm,
entire 20 overs in both the matches, Farhan's record would have broken. Yeah.
yeah,
So that shows that how his individual stakes were low in the entire
mm,
setup. And
yeah,
since you mentioned about this top three, if you look at Abhishek Sharma and Ishan Kishan and Sanju Samson, that this trio attitude, the way they have defined the power play over the last one and a
mm,
half years. So for them, it's the fury that they have been believing in, and after that a lot of teams are doing the same. We have also have seen how Allen and Seifert are thinking about,
mhm,
sometimes we have seen it through Head and March, that
mm,
whatever, like finish the game within the power play. So in the first
mm,
6 overs, score as many runs, like if possible 90, if possible 100. Yesterday they scored 93. So if
mm,
if you can, go ballistic inside the power play, after that the opponent will only chase the game. You are so ahead of
mm,
them in that game. After that, they will have no other option but to chase the game. So
mm,
this is the same attitude that India also applied in 2023 World Cup in that entire journey. There,
mm.
Rohit Sharma was taking care of the first 10 overs, and within the first
Mm.
10 overs, India scored so many runs that after that there was always the chasing game for the opponent.
Here, I want to bring in one important, very significant phase, and we can, in a way, call it chapter one. That is USA match, first warning sign, and that's where everything started, right?
Absolutely.
A big big warning sign, because on paper the match that night looked like just another match, and we thought we will easily demolish a team like USA, although we knew USA have some good bowlers and some few of their players are of high quality, but still we knew that we could easily win that match. And then there was their bowlers used slower balls and cutters very effectively, and they took space off the ball, and Indian batters struggled to generate power against those bowlers. Also, the problem with having your top three lefties, because they used those off cutters, and they used slower balls and all that, exposed that problem. But for a brief period of time, we thought this is one off match, and there was no issue with having top three lefties. Let's talk about this match and how this particular match exposed certain blind spots in our team, and how this particular match helped us in course correcting a lot of things. And then we will move to the other matches and other significant phases.
Dale Steyn, just before the tournament, had given the prescription that if you want to stop the gun left-handers of the likes of Abhishek and Dishan, then you will have to take the pace off. So
Mm,
USA, even the USA bowlers, they did exactly that. Somehow the pitch of that Wankhede was also pretty slow on that day and having bounce. So it was uh, a very different type of
mm,
a pitch where there is an extra bounce, and yet there is a slowness in the pitch. The ball was hotting before coming to bat. So that match, when India got exposed in was 77 for 6, and later on, after Surya rescued India and India eventually won the match. After that,
mm,
India didn't learn the lesson very quickly, but South
mm,
Africa learned something about India's batting. Later on, when South Africa faced India, on that day, the way they varied their pace and the way they used
mm,
their slowers in the Ahmedabad pitch, that was one of those moments where the way India's entire batting got exposed against USA, that actually
mm.
came to use not for India but for the opponent team. Now
Yeah,
this
definitely.
this this match has a very high significance in that way that because of this one match, South Africa, and also the kind of prescription that came from Delstein, they used both to restrict India on that Super 8 match. So that was the
Mm,
significance of this USA match, because on the USA match it was a proof that the Indian top and middle order can be exposed if their bowlers are starting to take the pace off.
yeah. And I think then came the Pakistan match, right, where this issue with having three lefties on top become more visible, and
Yes.
Pakistan used off spinner, their captain. He came and highlighted this issue or blind spot in our team, and then a lot of analysts, lot of experts, they started discussing about this issue, because till that time we were very confident that this is USA match was just one off match, and we are just fine. It's a big tournament, it's a long tournament, have faith on your team, and we, along with few of the people, were, and obviously Sanju's fans, they, all of us were talking about drafting in one right-hander into that top three, and we did not have any other option but Sanju. And Sanju is a proven commodity who has scored a lot of runs in T20 cricket, scored centuries. So we asked, we requested, we pleaded, and then we asked with command, please bring in Sanju. That's what we did, because India's top order had too many left-handed batters, and after that also there were few lefties in Shivam Dube and Rinku. So we had only two righties in top eight, I think. Axar was also there. So opposition teams started planning and bowling very specifically against this top order, and Pakistan did the same. Pakistan's match was a turning point, I think, in that sense for India, and they started to realize that there is some problem, because their lineup became slightly predictable, and the strategies and plans by the opposition teams were also a bit predictable. Now, that particular match raised a very important tactical question: that should India continue with this combination, or should they rebalance the batting order, and in simpler words, should they bring in Sanju or not? But India were dealing with many more questions. There were problems related to the middle order. Middle order was also not performing that well. Hardik Pandya came and he did not score much, and there were some problems. And Surya was also, after that first match innings, Surya was also not playing that well. So there were problems, and we will come back to Pakistan match and its significance. But one important thing happened, and that's beyond India's campaign. Australia got eliminated, and let's talk about, because that's one of the most significant event in this tournament that happened, that surprised a lot of us, or not surprised that much, but to lose a match against Zimbabwe was something that everyone discussed. Let's discuss about that particular event, and for that particular thing that happened, and the significance and implication of that for the whole tournament, and what happened in Super 8 and the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, so as you have mentioned about the Pakistan match, so we have discussed this in our channel that once Abhishek got ill and against Namibia he could not play. We have also discussed that against Pakistan, if you remember, Pakistan wanted Abhishek Sharma in Indian team. They kind of they were playing with India's ego that bring in Abhishek Sharma. So we are prepared for him. And all of a sudden, we were also in the talks that if Abhishek is not 100% fit, then it's better that he is not brought into the playing 11. Now, what happens after that is a difficult thing to you know w- thing to digest, and also which kind of defined the rest of the tournament, that Pakistan came up with that offie weapon, and Salman Ali Agha in the first over itself, he took down Abhishek Sharma. Now that was a prescription for the entire tournament for the other teams. Okay. Now what happens when you are playing with ego, and India also kind of responded to Pakistan's call. I repeatedly said that Abhishek was hurried into the team. So if Sanju and Ishan continued if India continued the combination of Sanju and Ishan, then they had to think otherwise. But since Abhishek was brought, and they already had that plan to, capture Abhishek, with Abhishek not being 100% fit, that worked as a very, very concerning thing in India's entire batting lineup. Now, when it comes to Abhishek. Think about this guy, one star performer who had been performing so well all throughout his 1.5 years. On the bilaterals, he was looking like a demon. Now, all of a sudden, two back-to-back ducks, followed by third duck, followed by failure in every match. So every match he was not being able to score, and every match he is having a problem
mm,
against the off spinner. In the first over or second over itself, he was getting out. This entire journey that Abhishek had, this has a very, very supreme implication when it comes to building his personality. He will know that every time journey will not be as rosy as it seems. So he has
mm,
seen the path of failure now, a series of failures that will define him. He has seen that, yes, he can be nullified if teams are coming with a proper plan against him. He has his weaknesses. He still has the weakness against off spinner. He still, this will not go away overnight. He will have to work hard. He has got the
mm,
the major learning in this entire World Cup. He will have to work hard in about his technique. He will have to think about maneuvering singles and doubles first against the off spinner before he comes up with a plan to demolish them. Now coming back to Zimbabwe's match, very, very important
mm,
match. And not only the fact that Australia got eliminated because of that one defeat against Zimbabwe and followed by another match against Sri Lanka. The major implication that Zimbabwe versus Australia match had, and also followed by Zimbabwe versus Sri Lanka. So Zimbabwe, Sri Lanka, Australia, the three matches, that the three matches that were played in between these three teams, all were very important because this ensured that Australia, the mighty Australian team, they are eliminated from the tournament. Zimbabwe, the underdogs, they are replacing Australia, and India had their preceding done along with Australia, South Africa, and West Indies. Now, since
mm.
Australia is going to be replaced, Zimbabwe had to come in the group of India, South Africa, and West Indies.
Mm. And that changed tournament landscape significantly. I think because traditionally, if you look at Australia, they have been one of the toughest knockout opponents for India and for other teams, but for us at least, we have those memories very fresh from 23 and in 2011 also we sorry, in another World Cup final. So that time also we lost the match against Australia. So somehow we were happy about the fact that Australia is no more in the tournament.
Think about that Thursday when India was going to face Zimbabwe after
Mm,
getting lost against South Africa for
mm,
with a massive margin of victory of 76 runs.
mm,
Think about that match. India was facing Zimbabwe in that. So after that, every match for India was knockout match.
mm,
India had Australia come in place of Zimbabwe. India would
mm,
have had faced Australia, West
mm.
Indies, and the semi-final final. So that match, instead of India versus Zimbabwe, it would have been India versus Australia.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a
So in that
it's
in that sense, we should thank two nations and two teams. One is Zimbabwe, the other is New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Both of them eliminated two very strong teams from this tournament, and I don't know. I think they made our job a bit easier than what it could have been. Yeah,
Zimbabwe played really good cricket. So,
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
so not only that, Zimbabwe played even in the Super 8 also. If we look
Mm,
at the matches, a West Indies match, they could not do anything because West Indies was too hot for the Zimbabwe bowling lineup. Also,
mm,
they dropped some catches, which had they taken, I think the story could have been a little different. But
mm,
against India, and so against India and against South Africa. Against India, their bowlers could not do anything, but they batted well.
mm,
And especially Bennett, his tournament was excellent overall. So I think he had been dismissed only twice in the tournament. So that's a massive thing. Overall, if we look at the picture, Zimbabwe, the way Zimbabwe has played against South Africa, they gave South Africa a real tough time. So it was not a very
mm.
easy victory for South Africa also.
mm,
And as we have seen that Australia was also suffering from a lot of injury issues.
mm,
Their team was not happy with Marsh's captaincy. Talks have come up once Australia got eliminated. A lot of controversies have come up that why Steve Smith was ignored in the lineup when they were
mm,
already missing on so many, match-winning players. Steve
mm,
Smith once was one such player, and also after the Big Bash that he played, he could not, he was one of the players that were there who was required in the entire setup. But so a lot of things that led to Zimbabwe knocking Australia out of the tournament. But once
mm.
that happened, I think yes, the job was easier for India and the other teams in the Super 8. And yeah, so after that loss against South Africa, where everything got wrong, I think
Yeah.
India had to do some sort of changes. I think that they became forced changes now. So yeah, so India had
Yeah,
to
let's
bring in.
let's move to that match now. That so we were talking about how the twist that happened and Australia knocked out of the tournament that helped India in some ways, but the biggest challenge came from South Africa, right? In next match, and arguably that was India's lowest point in this tournament, and started questioning India's team and the combinations and the kind of strategies that they were taking. We started, means not us, but many people started bashing Gigi again. Gigi is always that punch bag that people love punching every time India is India faces any issue or India faces any setback. Then it's always Gigi, and we ask a lot of tough questions. So India were bowled out for just I think 111 runs, and
Yes.
South African pace attack was really relentless, and they showed how good they were and the problems that India is facing as a team. So let's talk about that match. What happened in that match and how that was a significant moment.
Very significant. So not only if we look at the tournament's context, that changed the tournament. So
Mm,
I still think had India not lost the match, I think India would not have won the trophy. So
yeah.
there are some reasons because in the entire
Mm,
group stage, India's batting was not working the way it should have. We discussed this
mm,
just before the group league stage was over that India is
mm,
winning, but something was, looking very off. Now,
mm,
the first, the top three, that what problem was going on in the top three with all the left-handers and Abhishek,
mm,
decoded.
mm,
There was a there the code Abhishek was absolutely decoded, and since Abhishek was going out first over, Tilak was coming at number three, and from the very beginning, he had to play the job of almost an opener, which he is not always prepared of.
mm,
The entire batting strategy was not working, and all of a sudden, we were seeing that the kind of problem which was added to the entire unit of Indian team, the bowling that was working in the group stage till now
mm,
against South Africa, that didn't work.
mm.
Especially the name that I'm going to right now say, I think
Varun
that
Chakravarti.
problem was not solved even yesterday. That is Varun.
Yeah.
Now, Varun before South Africa match was Varun Chakravarti that we all knew. Varun Chakravarti
Mm,
on South Africa match, he went for 47 in his 4 overs. And
mm,
right from the first over, he was taken down.
mm,
And all of a sudden, we saw this change in Varun Chakravarti that all of a sudden, because of that one setback, Varun's entire bowling strategy got extremely defensive.
mm,
Varun, who has always been very attacking with his, with his speed variations, with his,
mm,
different variants of bowling, all of a sudden we
mm,
saw that because of that one match, he became ultra defensive. He started bowling medium pace. Now, that is one such point where India started to face a new problem. Now, if we look at
mm,
the batting, that entire batting setup, that was not working, that did not work, that failed miserably in that South African match, because they already had the code. They already had the code of
mm,
taking pace off. They saw the effect of taking pace off against the USA match. Against the USA
mm,
match, India could manage with Surya Kumar Yadav because that was USA. And USA, what USA could start, they could not finish properly,
mm,
because they did not have proper experience, because of the lack of experience and because of the lack of exposure. They started off their bowling line again really well, but they could not end it. South Africa did not
mm,
commit that mistake. They just demolished the entire batting lineup. What USA had done, South Africa came up with similar plans, and they just steamrolled over India's batting. And along with that, a new problem had come, that is India's bowling, especially with
yeah,
Varun Chakravarti. Now, with
yeah,
this, with all such problems, India had no other option but to bring back Akshar. Akshar was not
mm,
played against South Africa,
mm,
because now India realized that without Akshar, India cannot think about their lineup.
mm,
And also, India had to bring Sanju Samson, because
mm,
the entire lineup of India had only two righties, with no righty in the top three, all
mm,
lefties. India realized finally that this will not work. And thankfully, India realized it, in at such a stage where some sort of comeback was possible from.
mm,
But had this had that entire problem came on, semi-final or a final, we would have not been in the kind of state of mind that we are right now. The
mm,
entire picture would have changed. So
yeah,
thankfully, India's bowling did not work. Thankfully, Varun
mm,
Chakravarti did not work on that day. Thankfully,
mm,
nothing worked for India that day, because of which. So, as you mentioned, that why GT becomes the center of all the backlashes, because of the fact that he makes the decisions.
yeah, yeah,
So the decision that India makes just before the match majorly depends on GG.
100%. Yeah,
Surya Kumar's role, even Surya Kumar also has admitted this. His role,
yeah.
more than a captain, he is playing the role of a leader. He
Mm,
is taking care of all the nitty-gritties of well-being of all the cricketers, whether
yeah, the man
every
management
cricket,
role.
the management, the man managing of the
Mm,
entire unit is
mm,
being done by Surya.
mm,
Strategic decisions mostly
yeah,
are
yeah, mostly. And
taken by Gambhir. Even in the
mm,
breaks, also drinks break are coming. The way Gautam
mm,
Gambhir, the way he actively goes to the ground
mm.
by himself, which shows that the decisions are mostly Gambhir's. Now,
He
if
was almost like those soccer team managers
Alex Ferguson,
and calling all the shots.
yeah, so now if things go right, then
Mm,
definitely he
mm,
will be praised and he will be appreciated.
mm,
If things go wrong, which were going, and it was evident to even all those people who do not understand cricket that much, that
yeah.
how come you play three lefties in the top. So
Mm,
that was the point where everything, it was an evidence that India cannot win with this
mm,
combination. And later on, if we look at the next four matches that India have played, India have almost scored 1,000 runs in the next four matches,
mm,
close to 1,000 runs, maybe around 970, 980, something like that.
mm,
That is the level of change that happened in the entire Indian batting unit right after the South African match.
mm. Okay, so let's talk about the rebuilding phase now. So India got demolished by South Africa, and then comes I think there was the match against Zimbabwe. I think the first
Hmm,
match was against
hmm,
Zimbabwe, and I think India started rebuilding their team and their confidence. And for the first time in the tournament, India did not lose, and early wicket and the top order was able to build a proper foundation. We could see that Abhishek finally found some runs. That was
Yes.
reassuring. But as we now know, later in that tournament, Abhishek again failed a couple of times. But that time we felt our Abhishek is back now. But which really helped stabilize the batting lineup. Abhishek back with some runs, and but the match revealed another concern, that is Shivam Dube went for plenty with the ball, which meant India's sixth
Yes.
bowling option was not always reliable, and that highlighted a big problem because we need that sixth bowling option against bigger teams who can expose your bowling, and you have to then fall back to the sixth bowling option. So let's talk about that match and how India regained their feet a bit, regained their confidence a bit, and that was the point from where India started rebuilding their team, and then we reached to the perfect final match. So let's talk about the match in Zimbabwe, and then we will move to the other Super 8 matches.
Good that you mentioned about Dube because in that match,
Mm,
Dube went for 46 in his 2 overs.
yeah,
And he was the only bowler who got hit like, uh, you know, like anything by the batsmen of Zimbabwe. I
yeah.
think that was the match where India realized that they will have to, change their bowling strategy.
Mm,
Now India knew that majority of the bowling will be done by their five professional bowlers. And in
mm,
among them also, one was not having their, best of the forms.
mm,
Now against that on in that match, what happened with this sixth bowling option? If you look at the implication that that match had, now the fact that India was having only five proper bowling options in the semi-final
mm,
and final, if you look at it,
mm,
India's bowling strategy had changed.
mm,
India now thought of did not instead of going with a sixth bowling option in Dube or Tilak or maybe Abhishek to give the fillers in between, maybe in the 11th
mm,
over or 12th over. Instead of doing that,
mm,
India
mm,
started to make sure that if possible we will make them bowl the last overs, but we will get the professional bowlers in, especially Arshdeep, Hardik and Bumrah
mm, mm,
before the damage is done.
mm,
So instead of bringing them in the last few overs, in the 18th to 20th over, after after all the batsmen they are going with 23 24 runs in 1 over, but let's not do that. Let's go with this philosophy that we will finish the good bowlers first up. If possible, we will be going with our sixth bowler at the end. India did the same in the semi-final. India did the same in the final also. Though in the final, India won the match quite before, but especially in
mm,
the semi-final, that strategy worked like magic. Think about the
mm,
scenario. Had India took a sixth bowler in between instead
mm,
of going with Arshdeep and Hardik and Bumrah clear, like
mm,
just before the 20th over was left, that was bowled by Dube. Now
mm,
think if that was not the issue, Dube was bowled earlier in
mm,
maybe that 13th over or 12th over, that point during that India
mm,
would have lost the match.
mhm.
The way Bethel was going, India would have lost the
Yeah,
match.
yeah.
India could manage winning it just because of the fact that Bumrah bowled that 8 run over. After that, Arshdeep came. After that, again Bumrah bowled that magical over of 6 runs. Then Hardik
Mm,
bowled a brilliant over of 9 runs.
mm,
England was left with only in 1 over with 30 runs. I think that was
mm,
the point where the match was sealed. every
mm.
every game India had some learnings. Now
Yeah, yeah.
these proper five bowlers, the implication that it had on West Indies game, think about the West
Mm,
Indies batting lineup. India
mm,
realized that they do not have any six bowler option. They went in the entire 20 overs, they did not go for any sixth bowler. All the five bowlers
mm,
bowled their quota. And because of that strategy, India was able to restrict West Indies under 200.
200.
We know that how brilliantly Bumrah bowled in that match also. So
Yeah.
Bumrah against West Indies, Bumrah against England, Bumrah against New Zealand. I think this requires a different episode to describe
Mm.
how brilliant Bumrah had been in these three matches. But
So
these
Bumrah with the ball and Samson with the bat is almost at the same level, and they both
absolutely,
of them won us this tournament, and we should have an episode on these two and their performances in the last three matches that we had,
absolutely,
all the knockout
absolutely.
matches. So the knockout, their impact in knockout phases, that requires a different episode altogether.
Absolutely, absolutely. So
Yeah.
the way Bumrah designed the entire bowling in the last three matches, if you look at the point where the opponent was going away with the game, a point where
Mm,
Hitmyer was hitting like anything. Hitmyer and Rostanches were being brilliant in at that point. In that 12th
mm,
over, Bumrah comes, he picks up both the wickets, and
mm,
the entire batting rhythm of West Indies was derailed.
mm,
Cut to against England, Bumrah in those 2 overs. One over
mm,
he gives away 8 runs. One over he gives away 6 runs in a chase where
mm,
254 is the chasing mark. I think
mm,
those 2 overs were like two pieces of gold. So if you look at now West Indies match, I think one of the most prominent matches that India played. India restricted West Indies under 190, and
yeah.
that match Sanju showed what
Mm,
what it means to play for your own country. I
mm,
think it was kind of designed the morale of the entire team afterwards. So if a
yeah.
person can be of, why Virat Kohli is such a celebrated figure, because of the way he
Mm,
used to design those chases that used to create a mentality within the team that what it actually feels to take the team from the 0 point to the victory point. So in
yeah.
the that in that phase that phase was enjoyed by not only the batsman but also his teammates,
Mm,
and the mentality of taking your team to victory that gets injected
yeah.
within the players. It
Mm,
happened on that match, and that got continued in the next two matches.
yeah.
If you look at the way we were mentioning this in all those three matches, if Sanju wanted, Sanju could have scored centuries in
Mm,
all the three matches, even on that 97 match also. Had he
mm,
wanted, he could have taken a few strikes from Hardik and Dube. He could have negotiated a few singles in between,
mm,
and he could have gone for some fours and sixes, and he could have managed a century.
mm,
In the other two matches, definitely he could have managed a century. But
mm,
he didn't care for his own milestones. His personal milestones didn't matter.
mm,
Whatever was important at that moment was India's victory.
mm.
Today we are where we are.
Yeah. So then came the semi-final stage. New Zealand managed to defeat South Africa, which meant that if India beat England, the final would be India versus New Zealand instead of India versus South Africa.
In
And
Ahmedabad.
considering in
In
the
Ahmedabad.
had dominated India earlier in the tournament, that result probably came as a small psychological relief for the Indian team. But first, India had to get past England in the semi-final, and that match was an absolute thriller. The Indian batting lineup finally clicked with Sanju leading the charge once again, as you mentioned. Then there was Axar Patel's brilliance in the field, the flying beast, Axar Patel taking two outstanding catches that completely shifted the momentum. I think at one point Vettel almost pulled off an incredible chase for England, and we thought the match could slip away. And then came Bumrah and produced a masterclass that you can watch again and again to not only understand why he is the best, but also to be proud, to feel proud that we are in that country and we are fan of a country and a team where there is one player, and that's just with Bumrah.
That's Bumrah.
It's a pure masterclass. I think if young bowler want to learn anything, they can watch Bumrah's footage and again how he bowls. I don't know how many types of Yorkers, faster ones, slower ones, and then that's one length, and then he pulls his length back, and then again faster ones and slower ones. So as a batter, you are facing too many questions that you are not prepared for. That's who Jasprit Bumrah is. And let's talk about what happened in that match and the brilliance from Sanju, Axar, Bumrah, and obviously the whole team. How they got past a team like England, who were put up a real fight, and they have been putting some real fights against different teams in this tournament.
When India put that score to 53, Sanju brilliant knock of 89. I think also we should not forget about the contribution that came from players like Ishan. Ishan played a very good innings on that day.
Hmm. Hmm.
Shivam, Shivam. I think this one name will have to be taken
Yeah. Yeah.
especially because of the tournament that
Hmm.
he had. Brilliant tournament from Shivam Dube. I think
Yeah.
almost
Yeah.
every matches, even the match that India lost against South Africa, they are also
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
one batsman. He was, the stand,
Hmm.
and he was Shivam Dube. From those contributions, when India started their bowling and India kind
Hmm.
of a few early weeks. India was not having any, idea of getting that match lost. But Jacob
Hmm.
Bethel has some other plans. I think he was in some other. He was possessed by some spirit on that day. I'm pretty sure.
Hmm.
The way it's not about sixes and four.
Yeah.
Even against good deliveries, the way he was manufacturing shots, lap
Hmm.
shots, the reverse lap shots, reverse. He was playing all over the ground, and he was looking flawless. He was not offering any type. I think apart from that run out, I think that run out was the only way that he could got himself dismissed on that.
Hmm.
Otherwise, the way he batted on that day, it would be remembered by him forever. But still, he could not take his team over the line. That's a
Hmm.
different tragedy. The way he played that match, it is commendable. Jasprit Bumrah, just think about that 18th over,
Hmm.
four
Hmm.
Yorkers, four perfect Yorkers, coming very close to the toes of the two left-handed Sam Curran and Bithal were batting at that point of. There were two full tosses also in
Hmm.
that over, but they were fast full toss. Low full tosses, fast full toss. So and the fear that comes with Jasprit Bumrah, that fear
Hmm.
factor. Even the English batsmen, they had a task to do. They had this mentality that let's just see him
Yeah.
in this over. We will see whatever can be done in the next over. And also the next over was also brilliant from Pandit. So
Yeah.
the 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 factor that Jasprit Bumrah brings with, even if like he's missing out the Yorkers, he is bowling it so fast, and those low full tosses are also so difficult to be hit.
Hmm.
I don't know what should we say about this one guy. I
Yeah.
think I think he is not from this planet. He might be an alien. And as an Indian, I say it so many times that it feels hard to believe India has a fast bowler like Jasprit Bumrah. India has never been known for having. India doesn't even have a fast bowler legend. So
Yeah. Yeah.
like you have it for South Africa. There is Dale Steyn. There is Alan Donald. There is
Yeah.
Sean Paul.
Hmm.
Australia, you just name it. Everyone is a legend
Hmm.
in Australia. Right from Lily,
Yeah. Yeah.
You have
Magra,
Magra, you have,
mm,
yeah, so many names.
Bradley.
Pakistan, you have Wasim, Walker, Shoaib Akhtar,
There were
Imran
too many.
Khan. Imran Khan, you have so many names.
Mm,
India, apart from Kapil Dev, there were no fast
mm,
bowler legends. Yes, there were good fast bowlers, Javagal Srinaz,
mm,
Zahir Khan. You will
Zaid Khan.
you will find a few names. Bumrah, a different league. Bumrah
Yeah.
is some who I it's just it's just the lack of fortune that we have, that we are not being able to see big, like see him in many matches because of his fitness issues.
Yeah.
Otherwise, had his body been a little bit more, and
Mm,
he present the matches that he has made, I don't
mm.
know where what he would have been by now.
Yes. I guess we can't have everything. We have to be
Yeah, yeah,
happy with whatever of
absolutely.
Bumrah we have. All right. So India won the match, but even then they had not played a game of complete dominance. That came in the final,
Yes,
and the final began with an interesting decision at the toss. New Zealand chose to field first, which on paper was the correct decision. Four of their five victories in the tournament had come while chasing, and there was also the possibility of due later in the evening. However, New Zealand made a crucial mistake. So they dropped their one of their off spinners who
McConkey.
took two wickets, and they expecting due to reduce the impact of spin, and they thought let's bring in Duffy in place of him. And but the pitch had some grief early on, and that decision meant New Zealand's over dependence on their pace bowling, and India immediately took advantage of that. And from the third over itself, actually what I liked about India's innings, our batters took some time to use some sighters before they launched themselves on New Zealand batters, and then India started really aggressively, and Jacob Duffy's over gave India the first momentum shift. So let's talk about the match that happened yesterday, and we were really awestruck throughout the match. I can't tell you how out of words I was looking at how India was playing the match, and the kind of performances were coming. Whatever we wished came true in yesterday's match, and that was a perfect performance from our team, and we couldn't be prouder the way they played and totally made it a one-sided affair. And it was in that sense a bit boring final, but we can take many more such boring finals in future. So let's talk about the match and what happened in the match and where India did well and were ahead of the New Zealand team.
Yeah, I think the toss was fine. I think in New Zealand decided what they were strong about. So I think India also would have
Mm,
done what they are strong about. So I think India would have batted because batting was their strength. New Zealand was
mm,
chasing because chasing was their strength. And there was
mm.
no doubt about that, because 4 out of 5 matches, if you have won chasing,
Yeah,
and also New Zealand have been defeated twice in the tournament, and both the times they batted first. So I think
yeah.
they banked on their strengths.
Mm,
What blunder they made was by benching McConkey and
mm.
bringing in Duffy instead of him. If they had plans to bring in Duffy, they could have done that in place of Nisham.
Yeah.
But somehow, because of the grass
Mm,
that Santner saw in the pitch, he thought that today two off spinners, two left arm spinners, that will be too much of spin bowling in the entire bowling lineup. He thought that this might backfire a little. So
mm,
he wanted a balanced team, and I think in that process, what he had done is he forgot that the bowler who picked up the two most deadly left-handers in the top three for South Africa. So the McConkey was a very important, prominent bowler in the entire bowling lineup. He kind of ignored him, and I have seen Santner. So anyway, he would have made the off spinner bowl only one over in the
mm,
power play. He would have anyway brought Duffy in the third over. I'm not seeing any miscalculation over there, because if
mm,
Phillips was brought in the second over, Sanju would have taken him down. So he was
mm,
pretty sure that if Phillips is given another over, Sanju is there to take him down, and he was having the fear. But sometimes, you should cross the fear and you should think about the positives also. Now,
mm,
because of the fear factor, I'm not sure how scared was the entire New Zealand bowling lineup, because even if Duffy's over not enough, fourth over Lockie Ferguson
mm.
never made any sense. If you are
Yeah.
going for, if you are talking about the first power play, then you should make sure that, okay, get it, you will give only one over to your off spinner, but you need
Mm,
to give Duffy and Henry prop bowling then. But that
mm,
fourth over from Lockie Ferguson, it
mm,
was not making sense. And I don't know what happened to Lockie Ferguson. We talked about Lockie so much in our preview analysis, because Lockie is such a brilliant T20 bowler with all his
mm,
variations and everything. And somehow I started having a feeling that everyone was having this fear, because especially against Sanju, that Sanju is so good in the offside that we cannot
mm,
give Sanju enough room in the offside, and we will, bowl him to his legs so that he commits the mistake of, chipping the ball to a deep mid wicket, or, deep square leg region. So they kind of, everyone was into making Sanju commit the mistake. And because of the fact that South Africa bowled majorly the slowers against India in Ahmedabad, Matt Henry was not having any other plans but to bowl only slowers in that
yeah.
when he came for that fifth over, he was bowling only slowers. So
Mm,
South Africa got wickets, but South Africa varied the pace also. There were
mm,
fast balls mixed with the slower balls, that which created the confusion, and Indian batting succumbed in that match.
mm,
Not if you are bowling all the six balls, if you are taking
yeah.
your pace off, and that also during the power play, then it
Mm,
shows that you are under massive pressure and you are becoming defensive straight from the beginning. And the kind of batting firepower that India has, especially in the top three, one thing that Indian top three will always want the opponent to do is becoming defensive. So once
yeah.
that bowling lineup becomes defensive, then they showed what
Mm,
they are capable of. I think first
mm,
6 overs, 93 runs,
yeah.
2 overs from Lockie and Henry, they kind of sealed the deal for India.
I think New Zealand did get a brief window back into the match when Jimmy Neesham picked up 3 wickets in a single over. And for a moment, it looked like the momentum might swing back to New Zealand, but India responded brilliantly. I think Shivam Dube
Mm.
responded brilliantly, and we generally do not talk about those brief innings, but that innings changed the momentum completely and brought the match to India, because the impact of such innings is so much that bowlers also feel confident, because the moment
Absolutely.
you have 250 plus score and you have the momentum on your side, then anything is possible. So I think that finishing blow from Shivam Tuve, it made a lot of difference. He attacked Nisham in the final over and pushed India to a very strong score. Then came New Zealand with their batting, and we expected a lot of firepower power from their opening pair. Not their day, and we got Allen for a very, after a brief period he got out. We could get him out in the first over itself, but Shibam dropped a shitter, but that's fine. I think that can happen in a big match. But if imagine Allen played a big innings and something of that sort happened, then that could have created a lot of problem for us. So let's talk about New Zealand's batting and India's bowling again. And this time we will go beyond Bumrah and talk about other bowlers also, because Bumrah again was the key bowler and he made all the difference. But let's talk about India's whole bowling effort and bowling unit and New Zealand's batting.
So there was only one way that New Zealand could have made anything in the chase if Allen and Seifert could repeat what they did in the semi-final.
Mm,
So even the second over from Hardik Pandya, they had a brilliant over in that. Like they scored 21 odd runs in that over
yeah.
itself. So they were pretty much the beginning was not that bad except for that dropped catch. But I think somehow someone saw the preview video that we posted and they came up with Akshar. We
Mm,
shouted out loud in our preview video that Akshar is one such bowler who needs to be brought inside the power play. Otherwise, he cannot stop Allen and Seifert.
mm,
And I think the way Akshar picked Allen, I think proper brilliance in terms of bowling, in terms of captaincy.
yeah.
So it was hurled down to his body. It was a
Mm,
hat pace. Akshar is
mm,
pretty good with that thing. The way the position in which the fielder was set, I
mm,
think it was properly, it was a proper setup.
yeah.
The he tried to pull that ball. It did not connect. It hit the two end of his bat, and he wanted to shift the ball to deep mid wicket region, but
Mm,
eventually it went to that in between region in the long on and deep mid wicket. It was neither long
mm,
on, it was nor deep mid wicket, and the fielder was seated at that place only. So I
yeah.
was I was very very happy with the entire setup with which they took the wicket of Allen.
Mm,
And even like last day, I was mentioning that I'm not a big fan of matchups, and I
mm,
hated the way the last match, India ignored Akshar when Bethel was there,
yeah, yeah.
and India brought in Varun in the power play.
Mm,
So this time they didn't do the same mistake
mm,
again, and they brought in Akshar within the power play, even if they had left-handers like Rachin. And the very next over, Bumrah with his first ball and his magical slower
mm,
against Rachin, and it was chipped just like he deceived Chase, he deceived Brook, he
Rickleton.
deceived Rickleton,
Mm,
the same way he deceived Ravindra, and
yeah.
brilliant catch by Ishan Kishan. Ishan Kishan was terrific in the field
So Ishan Kishan was our Akshar Patel last match.
in the same last match.
In the semi-final way, Akshar Patel. So somehow Akshar Patel must have discussed that now you have to take my role in next match, and he perfectly took his role and similar kind of catches. But I think obviously Akshar's two catches were obviously much better catches, but also the catches that Kishan take. If you look at in the context of the match and the we were in, those catches were actually very important catches.
He took
Yeah,
three catches yesterday,
yeah, yeah.
and out of
Like
which two were very
Akshar also took
difficult.
three catches, so he perfectly assumed Akshar's role.
Yes, 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 absolutely, absolutely. And two of them were difficult. So
Yeah.
one was that diving catch that he took for Rachin, and the other was the running catch in the just before the fence that he took to dismiss Seifert. So
Mm,
one of my friends he was texting me that I don't think Ishan has ever taken these many catches as keeper also.
mm,
So yeah, that was extremely brilliant effort on the field. And I think where India kind of sealed the match yesterday, and there was no other option left for New Zealand was the way
Phillips wicket,
Akshar
bold
once
Phillips.
Akshar took Phillips. I think that was also a brilliant delivery.
Yeah, yeah. Again, very
An arm ball,
faster one arm ball. Yeah,
faster one arm ball,
in
and
dipping and
proper in dipping proper Axar Patel delivery, and
yeah,
Phillips got deceived by the pace
yeah.
of it, and had no options and he had no answers and he got out. Once that wicket was down, I think
mm,
New Zealand was all but over because to make things work for New Zealand, they
mm,
had to make sure that Allen, Seifert, and Phillips, these three comes up with large scores. Otherwise,
mm,
chasing 255, not a regular thing in T20. It's an exception. Last
mm,
day, yeah, they had a Bethel. Otherwise, it was not a regular thing. And
yeah.
there is a difference between Wankhede and Ahmedabad. Wankhede
Mm,
is pretty smaller in size as compared to Ahmedabad. So
mm,
if we see that, like the balls that were getting, the catches that were being taken in the deep, maybe had it been Wankhede, some of them would have crossed the fielders
yeah.
over the line. But yesterday, those even I am pretty sure the Allen's wicket would have
Mm,
been six. It would have been six in Wankhede.
yeah. Yeah.
So that didn't happen because of the size. So
Mm,
when the ground is larger, this type of scoring. That's why I was so impressed with the way yesterday Abhishek, Sanju, and Ishan, three of them batted. So
yeah.
brilliant
Mm,
knock from all the three of them because larger ground and making things happen once again the way things had gone in Wankhede. I think India.
mm,
So once India was playing Sanju, so I think this if India keeps on playing this batting unit, I
mm,
think it will be very difficult for any team to restrict India under 200. It will have to be
mm,
very bad day for India to be restricted under 200 because this
mm,
lineup is a very formidable batting lineup.
yeah.
So and we saw after once Sanju got in, I think all
Mm,
the matches India batted brilliantly. India scored three 250 plus scores. Can you imagine? In the last four knockout matches, India has
yeah.
scored three 250 plus scores, and
Mm,
the one where they were chasing, there also India scored almost a 200.
yeah.
Like I think only one point will be disturbing India just before India closes this tournament. That what India would do with Varun, and
Mm,
Varun needs to figure out. He needs to start from the scratch
yeah. Yeah.
because the what is the magic with mystery spinners. So if you remember Ajanta Mendes, so all of a
Yeah.
sudden Varun was reminding me of Ajanta Mendes.
Rajata Mendes. We were talking about this comparison with Ajanta Mendes when we were watching the match with some of our colleagues. I invited you also. You didn't come. I wanted you not to move from your place because of some
Yeah, the
superstition.
hitting was,
But
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So like no, even
So
I
we
was
were
also.
discussing about this comparison that somehow these performances reminded us of Ajanta Mendes.
So once Ajanta Mendes was figured out, even
Mm,
tailenders also used to hit Ajanta Mendes for sixes.
mm,
So that is the problem with mystery spinners. But there is one positive about mystery spinners also. Even
mm,
if they are figured out, they can come up with new variations. They can
mm, mm,
just take themselves out of the international setup for a few days. They
mm.
can revamp themselves and they can again make a comeback.
Yeah, yeah,
The biggest example is Varun himself.
yeah.
So
Same thing happened against Pakistan, and he went back and changed and added some elements to his bowling. Yeah, you're quite right.
and I'm pretty sure once he gets back to the KKR dugout, because KKR dugout is the dugout where Varun revamps himself.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
So to get the best version of Varun, he needs
Mm,
to be back to KKR dugout. He will again start rediscovering himself because I'm
mm,
pretty sure that the way Varun has projected himself, Varun
mm.
has his plans to play 2027 One Day World Cup.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
this is something that Varun has. because he is not having age by his side. Mostly turning 36 the next year. So
mm,
he will close his international career by playing 2027
yeah.
One Day World Cup. So, so for that, he will again get back to KKR dugout. He will have his, former, uh, coaches. Abhishek Nair will be there. There will be
Mm,
people who will be helping him out.
mm,
And once he gets back to his, once he brings again some new variation
mm,
in terms of pace, in terms of giving flight, in terms of giving some added elements, he will be back again.
mm,
So
yeah.
this tournament, but that could not be possible in a tournament, during a
Mm,
tournament. He needs
mm,
some time.
yeah.
So yeah,
All right. So I think the
long
moment
long video.
it's a long video, and I think the moment when India lifted the trophy yesterday, the entire journey came full circle. From early
Yeah,
doubts about team combinations to tactical setbacks to crucial adjustments during the tournament that we mentioned throughout the tournament. They made a lot of adjustments and we covered them in our video today. So eventually produced their most complete performance yesterday in the final, and the top order fired. Their top order fired except for Abhishek. The top order fired in almost all the knockout matches. The middle order finished strong, and bowlers executed their plans perfectly. Obviously, Bumrah was the wrecker in chief, and he did brilliantly. And actually, he was the leader of the whole bowling lineup. And that is why today we can say that India are the T20 World Champions. And let us know in the comments what you think was the biggest turning point of India's campaign in this World Cup, and we would love to have your take on this India's campaign this time. And if you have enjoyed this discussion, do not forget to like this video and subscribe to Deep Point. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one.
thank you.